networking is so cringy and it's like one of the hardest things because even when I did and then even in-person networking is even more cringy to me sometimes. It's like the best thing that you can do for your business, but it's really an art.
Learning how to master partnerships has been one of the most undiscussed topics inside of our industry. However, for those of us that have been in it for some time, understand that there's so much power in aligning with the right people to help with making this journey a lot more easier. And today I have an amazing guest that's with me, and she is the founder of Sugar Plum Events, and she's super talented, and she's in the Houston area, and her name is Nancy. And I just want to say thank you, Nancy, for being a yes for today.
Yes, absolutely, Jesse. I'm happy to be here. Like I said, off air, anything for you. You've been incredibly helpful in my journey, so I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And so I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself and how you got into the event industry.
Sure. So I started back in 2019 when I was trying to figure out exactly what it was that I was going to do. I knew that I wanted to start a business in some form. And I've always been very creative. So I was scrolling through Facebook one day and saw that the balloon installations and balloon garlands were a thing. It's one of those things I feel like entrepreneurs really have that drive where they see something and they're like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. Right. And it's like that's what happened with me with the balloons. I'm like, oh, I can do that. And then you know that you're going to start a business when you're like, and I think that I can do that better. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my foot in the door into the events industry. From there, I did that. I mastered that. I started teaching workshops within the balloon industry, and then I wanted more. I wanted to be a part of more elaborate um, not just balloon installations. I had done that. I wanted to be part of bigger events. Like,
Mhm.
okay, how does it work where all of these big events are coming together? Because I know that it's not just one person doing it, because I have fell on my face multiple times trying to create these like crazy events, and it's just one person. It takes a team.
Yes.
So from there, I started scrolling through Instagram again, and came up with a girl came across my feed, and her name at the time, her company was Vida Events, and she was just doing it. She was just girl bossing so hard. The content that she was producing just drew me in right away, and more than that, it was the weddings that she was producing were just like next level. So I
Mhm.
thought, this girl needs to be my best friend. But at the time, I'm like, okay, how am I going to make this girl my best friend? Like, she doesn't know who I am. I'm just this girl that does balloons. What needs to happen here? And I just knew it was like a voice from above that was like, you need to email her and you
Yeah.
need to like have her be your friend. And I thought, like, at first the imposter syndrome kicks in and it's just like, you're not even in that sector. But I knew that I had to, so I started stalking her on Insta. Like, I started consuming more of her content. I went on her website, read her bio, looked at her pictures, looked at her weddings, and now I know that I was doing my research right
Hmm.
before reaching out to somebody.
Yeah.
And then I sat down and I was like shaking, and I wrote this like fangirl email to this girl, and she responded, and I was like, I love all your work. I know that you're new to Houston. If you need anything. And then I think that what got her was that she has family that lives in McAllen, and I was in
Mhm.
McAllen literally for about a year and a half. That's where I met most of my best friends. That's where I met my partner, and her parents are still living in McAllen. So I was like, and if you ever need anybody to like help you coordinate in McAllen, like I'm like always game to go. So I think that that's kind of what drew her in. And she's like, yeah, let's set up a call. Like, let's set up a call and have like coffee. Or I think that it was like around COVID time too. So
Mhm.
it's like, let's set up a call and whatever. And I was like, oh my God, she responded. So then after that, she responded. And of course, I was like, yes, absolutely. If you ever need, she's like, I have a couple of weddings coming up. So everything is like lining up perfectly, just the
Yes.
way that I had planned. And then she doesn't follow up. then
Mm.
then there's like crickets for like weeks at a time. So then it's like I had to go back in there and be like, hey, remember me? So it's like the secret is in the follow-up, right? So at the
Yes,
time I didn't know that
100%.
either,
Yeah.
but that's essentially what happened. So to make the longer story short, we are now best friends. I have been working with her for going on 4 years.
Mm,
um, she ended up moving from Houston to Atlanta,
yeah.
and I ended up taking over her coordinating clients here in Houston. And then she introduced me to AWP, which is the Association of Wedding Planners,
Mhm.
which is an incredible networking group here in Houston. There's one, I believe, in Austin. I'm not sure if there's one in Dallas, but just like being around these women, I mean, from going from Maria and then her introducing me to this group of women and just like being able to network with them and seeing what the power of networking really does to your
Yeah.
business has been absolutely life changing and transformative for me and for my companies.
And I think it's beautiful. And I appreciate, like, I feel as if you dropped a lot of really golden nuggets that I really want for people to be present to. One, you researched. And let's even say before you decided to research, you realized the fact that trying to do it all yourself was not going to really give you the kind of business that you desired. Because and there's no shame to anyone that is in that stage of their business, because I feel as if any of us in the event industry, we've all fell victim of that at some point. And then we realize, like, oh my gosh, either we just get completely burnt out, or we may have some accident, or we have something that is impacted in our personal lives that we're not quite present to what it's costing us by thwarting all that we're trying to do compared to aligning with the individuals that we need to align with. And that was something even for myself in my event business, I realized years and years ago was I was like, oh, I have clients in all these different areas, but I'm like, I'm still doing the same number of clients if I just wasn't traveling. So you're just busy. So it hit me. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm just busy. I'm not really growing. So it comes down to realizing that you need to align with individuals. But then the second thing you mentioned is then you researched to find who that and like what kind of person you want to align with. Because I feel that sometimes with vendors, specifically, that or even let's say planners, like they will urgently hire someone, and that happens because maybe someone got sick and now we need to fill this position because life situations. I actually had a bartender that passed away 2 weeks before an event during holiday party
Wow.
season, and that shook me. I was like, I had to make sure it was even her, and the only reason why I found out was because I was friends with her on Facebook, and her daughter did a post. And I had to send a message to the cell phone because I thought it was like, this can't be real. Like I just spoke to, like I had spoke to her 2 days before. Eh,
Wow.
yeah, 2 days before. So like in that moment, her daughter then responds back and says, I'm so sorry to tell you, was she booked? And I was like, and you have to find that. But again, if we don't know what kind of businesses we're aligning with. When we're looking for vendors or vendors want to work with us, we have to research to find out, is this a person I want to align with? Does this person show, if they're not showing integrity with how they execute their services on their own platform, I may not want to align with them.
Right. Maybe
But
not a good fit.
maybe not a good fit. So like you have to be able to like take the time. So I appreciate you sharing that. And then also about the follow up, because even when I have personally recommended, if you're going to start reaching out, if you're going to start partnering people, don't think because you sent them one message and they don't reply back that it's because they hate you and they don't think that like the imposter syndrome, because that's sometimes what's going on in the back forth, in the background of our mind is like, oh, see, it wouldn't work. That's why I'm not going to reach out. And we'll talk about that later on in this conversation, is that even though you had this initial connection, but it went silent, it wasn't
Mhm.
because I don't want to work with Nancy. It was just probably other things are going on, and just being busy. So we weren't able to take the time. So I applaud you for doing that. And knowing that by doing something that was uncomfortable, and even you were feeling discomfort in doing it all on your own. So that was one level of discomfort. So you broke out of, I don't want to do that. Then putting yourself out there to write that email. I applaud you for that because that is also a level of vulnerability. And then following up. That is another level of vulnerability to allow yourself to potentially, um, for lack of better wording, potentially have an experience that can be deemed as failure, especially when you're doing something new. You
Mhm.
allowed yourself to get something different, and I just think that that's amazing for you. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely one of those experiences that in the while you're going through it, it feels very uncomfortable. And once you get to
Yeah.
the other side, it's definitely life changing. And I'm sure that a lot of us as business owners go through experiences
Yeah.
like that day in and day out, and you just never know which one is going to, you know, change the course of your business.
So, since you were looking for a new partnership, what were some of the qualities that made you think this is someone I need to collaborate with, or even still to this day? One thing I know about you is that you're great at connecting with people, and that's exactly why I thought that this episode would be a great one to have you on. But what are some of the things that you personally look for when you're thinking, "Hey, is this someone I want to collaborate with on something?"
I think that she was very, I always look for somebody that knows a little bit more than I do so that I can
Mhm.
learn from them, right? Especially when I'm the one that's reaching out and wanting to like grow and grow my network and whatnot. And the way that she does her reels are very informative. And it was
Mm,
something that I was struggling with, and it's something that she thrives at. So she was providing a lot of value to couples. She's a wedding planner, but not only to couples, but to me as well, because at the same time that she was providing this value to these couples, she was also teaching me as a baby rookie wannabe wedding planner.
yeah,
Right. So she's teaching me, she's teaching the couple, and it's like, okay, this is somebody that I can learn from, somebody that I can grow with.
yeah.
That. And then when I went to go see her website was like on point when it comes to her messaging.
Mm,
Her pictures were professional and they looked like something that I wanted to be a part of.
mm. And that last part I think is key. It's like, yeah, this person is showing up consistently on all of the platforms with all of her messaging, but also it made you desire to be aligned with this person,
Correct.
which is something I feel as if for us in the event industry, we really have to be intentional with these partnerships. Because if we go into someone, let's say they're a mobile bartender, and you go in their pages and things may not always be appropriate, and or they're not consistent with the type of presentation. And this is why it's important for us, even as businesses, sometimes we think about how our clients will see us. But this can also be something that's potentially holding you back from potential partners if you aren't showing up at a high level. Does that mean you have to fake it? No, that just means being authentic to how you're trying to present your brand to attract the people that you're wanting to attract so that people, be it clients or partners, are like, I want to be a part. Like, this person looks like someone that I would really want to do business with. Or
Absolutely.
from a client's perspective, this is someone I would be willing to pay money for, so that you're attracting the kind of clientele, especially if we're trying to give attract a high caliber client. Like if we're having high quality content, we're doing high quality presentation on our events and our decor and things like that, you're not going to naturally attract a client that's not wanting to pay that. And that doesn't mean that they have an endless income. It just means that they're aware that there's probably going to be a cost associated. And I'll make sure to even put in the show notes Nancy's Instagram, like her presentation Like I always, whenever I see like a post of like an event that you did, I just fall in love with the details of what you put out there. And I don't think that everyone has that level of intentionality with how they're representing their brand. So I'm sure you've even had some people that have reached out to you because of how you present your brand and wanting to partner. Have you found that that's also happened to you where people want to now work with you as a collaboration or partnership?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there's different like levels, there's different levels to this, right? And
Hmm.
I what I tell my mentees all the time is your Instagram is your portfolio, and you're
Hmm.
going to, it's like the net that you're casting, and all of that is said with the photos that you're putting out. And
Yeah,
when at all possible, they need to be professional photos so that they know that you're working with a professional team, right?
yes,
And even when it comes to vendors, like they look at my pictures and they know, like a vendor knows what it takes to be able to get those professional pictures. Like
yeah,
whether it's a very well executed event where where the event had the budget to even have a photographer, or
yeah,
it's a styled shoot and somebody had to plan that whole thing, and I was a part of that in one way or another, and that's why that photo is in my portfolio. So
yeah,
that's ultimately, as a vendor, right, that's your goal, to be able to be part of these of these big like projects, because they're the
mhm,
ones that pay the
yeah,
most, right?
yeah,
So I
essentially.
think that's really what draws them in. But yeah, when it comes to like vendors like popsicles or like those carts, churros, any like venues even, they reach out because they want to be part of our database, because they know
Mhm.
that we are able to produce events at that level.
I love that. And so, for people that are hearing that, what would you recommend for them when it comes to initiating and nurturing valuable business relationships, or possibly a strategy that you would recommend for them when they are wanting to reach out to someone, not necessarily only you, but people that may be in their local areas?
I would do an Instagram audit first of their pages and see what, like, if they were from an outsider looking in, what do they think of their page? Or even they can connect with you, Jesse, and you, I know that you do like Instagram audits and that kind of thing as well.
Mhm.
Um, and kind of see like how many professional pictures do I have on my Instagram? What do my highlights look like? What does my bio look like? Does this look like a luxury brand? Does this look like a brand that has been around for a while and kind of knows what they're doing? And then whenever you're, so take a look at that first, because if somebody's reaching out to me, the first thing that I'm doing is going to look at their Instagram.
Mhm.
And we know that first impressions matter. So like, even if I like, they can be the best business in the world, but if you're reaching out to me and I go look at your Instagram and your pictures are just like not very good, or like you're not explaining to me what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're offering through your Instagram portfolio, then it's going to be like, okay, on to the next.
Yeah.
So checking your Instagram is number one. Number two, whenever you're reaching out, is providing some kind of value. If you're a vendor, like giving your, like having a catalog. If you're a rentals company, having a catalog with your pricing, and having like, whenever you're reaching out, sending that over along with your email. I think that what was key with Maria is that I provided value in the sense that at the time, and I didn't know this, but at the time, she did not have any other coordinators that were working under her other than one
Mhm.
that lived here in Houston, and she was looking to expand. Obviously, she was looking to expand in McAllen because she visits McAllen frequently because her
Yeah.
parents were there. I offered to coordinate events for her in McAllen because I still had family in McAllen and had a reason to go down there. So that
Mhm.
provided value to Maria, which was probably gave me the upper hand when it
Yeah.
came to who, because now I know that there's a lot of people that are inquiring all the time in this way through through email. She gets a lot of inquiries, and it's like, who am I going to go with? So that's kind of the same thing whenever vendors are reaching out to other people. Provide some kind of catalog, provide like help, and then also like excited, like I looked at your page, I'm really
Yeah.
like this event that you did, like be specific to make to make your email memorable and stand out.
Those are really great actionable steps. And I hope that people take out pen and paper to write those down and think about how you can, one, audit what you're doing, but then also add value. And I think that there's something so valuable when it comes to adding value. I feel that. we can sometimes want to jump over the step of being a part of something, and we want to just automatically do it all on our own. And the thing about it is that there's so much value. I'm sure you've learned a lot by working with her just on how she was doing her business, not just from the decor, but there probably were things that you didn't even know that you knew that you needed to know because of being aligned to her. And or just even the people that you've met through the association from all of the different pockets. And it's so much value when you're not just one just trying to take, but you're trying to add. And then you're learning to add value by just really pouring into others. And I think that that's why you've been able to have the success that you've been able to have because of your nature of who you are. So that's amazing.
Yes, for
So
sure. It's definitely been a learning curve, but it's like an art, right? Once you
yes.
master it and you're able to reach out to multiple people and just like be yourself is another thing. So, yeah.
Have you ever experienced with a partnership with a vendor that did not work out? And what did you learn from that?
Yes, I think that a lot of the times they don't work out. This is another thing too. Like the vendor can have the most beautiful Instagram, but then like we don't show up on time, right? Or the product that like also like Instagram photos, this is the other side of the coin. Instagram photos can be so deceiving. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to work with this vendor. Their pictures are amazing. And then it doesn't end up being the same level of quality
Mm,
as when they're actually working a job on site. So it goes like both ways. I think that like a lot of the vendors and it's just like the golden you feel like you found a golden egg whenever you have a vendor that has that like amazing Instagram that puts out that like amazing work ethic and then they are amazing. They
yes.
are showing up on time, they are following up, they are answering your emails, and it just like works out beautifully. So I think that it has to be both, like showing up an image on Instagram and then actually following through with it. And sometimes it doesn't always work out that way.
Yes. I find that on time can be a variable concept.
Yeah. What do
Like
you mean on time? Yeah.
if the event said it was starting at 3, that doesn't mean show up at 3.
Right.
Like, like, of course I'm calling you at 2:30. Like, why are you not here?
Oh yeah.
You
We're
know,
starting at 3. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's like that makes no sense. So for those people that are thinking, okay, I need to now take heed to this. What approaches do you personally have when it comes to networking, and so that you're intentional with collecting business cards or just connecting with people intentionally at networking events? How do you try to navigate that?
um how do I navigate networking events? Is that the
Yes,
question?
yes,
Okay. God, networking is so like cringy, and it's like one of the hardest things because even when I did like, and then even in-person networking is even more like cringy to me sometimes. It's like the best thing that you can do for your business, but it's really an art.
yes.
And I think that I still am working at it, and some days are better than others. When I had, you know, 4 cups of coffee instead of just 1 cup of coffee, and then I have to like go into a networking event, it's going to be a little bit easier than just being there like, oh my God, who do I talk to? I'm
Yeah.
getting like a little like shaky and like nervous even thinking about being at a networking event. you know? Um
You already know HoneyBook can make your life easier. However, you may be in a position where you know that you're not using the automations or any of the really cool features to the fullest of its capacity. Let's be real. learning how to set up a CRM can feel challenging. So if you're tired of DIYing your CRM so that you can actually start to convert clients and feel the ease from using this platform, it's time for you to check out my done for you services so that you can get access to workflows, templates, and automations. My done for you services are intended to make your event business thrive. So let's take the headache out of the process and get started together, because you deserve to be able to focus on what you want to focus on, which is your business, which is to make money inside of your company. So are you ready to have a system that's working for you? If so, click in the description so that you can get a free consultation with me today.
But let's see here. I've learned a lot from the association from AWP because we do networking events literally every single month.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely having your business card with you and okay, very real tips here for networking events. Having your business cards with you is like major. If you can have like a digital card, a digital business card, Blink is the one that I'm
Yeah.
looking into because that's the one that you recommended, Jesse, because
Yeah.
it's just so easy to just be like, okay, here's my contact information. And if you have a catalog, like have all of the information that you need from that you need to give out in that one like click or
Yeah.
on your business card, have them follow your Instagram. But I think that the biggest thing is just like being like very yourself and very excited to be there.
Yeah.
Like energy is contagious when you're
Yeah.
in a room full of people and it's like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
Nancy, what's your name? Or like, hey, is this your first time here? Like, what do
Yeah.
you do? What do you do? And is it your first time here? Is like always my go-to.
Yeah.
Because then they start telling me about their business. And because an event planner, I just like listen to what it is that they have to say.
Yeah.
I think that it gets a lot of people, well, I'm speaking for myself. I used to get really nervous when like the conversation would start to die down. And I
Hmm.
think that like that's what everybody actually fears. It was like that
Yeah.
awkward moment,
Yeah, they do.
right? Of like, okay, the conversation is dying down. Like, what am I going to say? It is totally okay to be like, okay, well, it was so nice talking to you. Like, let's
Yeah.
follow each other on Instagram and we'll keep in touch, right?
Yes.
And keeping a mental note of who it is that you were saying all of that to so that you can follow up with them after the networking event is like
Hmm.
crucial, especially at like Instagram. I love increasing my followers at a networking event.
Yes.
Hey, this is my page. Can let's follow each other. And like half the time they love that too because who doesn't want more Instagram followers, right? So that's
Yeah.
like a great way to connect. And then after the networking event, you go back to your Instagram and it's like, okay, who are the new people that I followed? And send them a
Hmm.
quick message and be like, hey, it was so nice meeting. It was so nice chatting with you. Um, and then just follow up if you ever need anything, if you ever need any planning services, and keep following up with them, interact with all of their stuff, go to their page and like their posts, comment
Yeah.
on them, because then the algorithm will push them up on your feed and you can continue connecting with them instead of just being like, okay, saw them one time, got a new follower, and then just like never followed up with them again. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, that's kind of like the way that I approach networking now, more just like very like chill, like instead of it like I think that for me the biggest thing was like it's okay to like feel those awkward moments. They're going to
Yes.
happen, they're going to come, and it's okay to just be like, okay, well, I'll follow you on Instagram, or I'll
Yeah.
see you around in the Instagram streets or whatever, you
Yeah.
know?
But I appreciate you sharing that and the transparency of it. And because I think that sometimes people assume that everyone that's going to networking events just love, like, no, there are people in spaces that may be introverted that like I'm the type of person, if I go to a networking event, I'll show up. But then after that I leave, I probably go into a cocoon. Like I have to recharge myself
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because I'm like,
Like what just
okay,
happened?
yeah. So I tell people like I'm introvert. I'm an introvert extrovert. Like
Yeah.
I know that if I don't talk, I'm not going to get in between my business success. My uncomfortableness will not allow for me to not show up for the people that I'm intended to impact. So I will, once you get, I feel like it's one of those muscles that, like, when you first went to the first networking event, you probably like, oh my gosh, and like you didn't talk to anybody. But then as you continue to do it, you may still get nervous, but then you learn how to shift yourself to get past it. Sometimes it might just be that first, hi, how are you? And then once you do that, then you're like, I'm on a roll. Now I'm going to keep talking to people. So it may take a little bit of a slow start to first do your first hello, but then by the end of the event, you're talking to everybody, and then that slow start gets a little bit faster as you continue to show up. So if you're listening or watching, you want to be sure to not just go to one and then feel like, oh, this was not worth it, or I didn't meet anybody. It's a skill. Just how Nancy is
Hmm.
sharing with y'all about how to go to networking events or how to connect with people, the first person you connect with may not go anywhere or it may go somewhere. But if we get so stuck on the what if, we're robbing ourselves of having the business that we want or the success that we're wanting because we're so committed to things being uncomfortable and not getting out of it compared to taking that first step forward to be able to experience something new. So I appreciate you sharing that because I don't think that I feel as if you have an outward going personality. So people may not know that it does take even work for you to even show up in that. Like you may be nervous inside, but even though you have this personality, um, it also takes you showing up to be in that space the way that you're intending to be in.
Yes. And keep trying at it. Like, don't, networking is one of those things where, like, if you're a business owner, like, and networking is so hard that you don't want to do it, like, too bad, suck it up
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
like, seriously, too bad. You have to get good at it. You have to be able to network because that if you want your business to if you want to take your business to the next level, it's through
yeah,
networking. It's through
yeah,
networking. It's like the way that people talk about you when you're not in the room. And that
yes.
and like all of your big sales and like all of that's done is done through networking for sure. At least it has for me
And that
and for my mentees as well.
leads into a really good conversation then. So I have like what role do collaborations play in landing high value clients or bigger event contracts?
Yeah, so a lot of our biggest clients have came through other wedding planners. They're not necessarily because they have their network that is different from ours,
Yeah.
right? And it could be bigger. It's like the people know people that know people that know people.
Mhm.
And that is where most of our big clients, when it comes to balloon and decor and design, have still came from because they hear, oh, you need balloons. I know Nancy. She's amazing because
Yeah.
she has the Instagram, she has the work ethic, and I've proven that to them, so they feel comfortable referring me out to
Yeah.
somebody else, and then that person tells the next person, and then that person tells the next person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so important.
And I love that, like, and if you never take the first step, like all of this is connected. Like from taking the first step to reaching out to even know someone, it was not, and I think too, yes, you wanted to be a part of that person's team. However, or you just wanted to connect with them because they had value of how they were showing up. It was also to just learn.
Hmm.
And I think that going into networking and going into partnerships, it can't only just be this, if it doesn't click immediately, that it's not going to work out. It's like you want to get into, especially in the event industry, I think it's so important for us to be people collectors because you just never know when something may be that you need somebody or someone might need you. And that is a part of partnership and collaboration. And that's why it's important for us to not just only have one person. You got to always keep collecting people, keep getting in front of individuals, following up, keeping your circle of individuals aware of what you're up to, what you're about, but you also being aware of what they're up to and what they're about. So that way you're staying at the forefront of their mind and just connected. So I'm glad that you shared that by knowing certain individuals, that has helped with getting you those high paying clients or to be able
For
to get
sure.
you opportunities because it is about who you know.
Oh yeah, it's very much so about who you know. It's like how, like, I get asked sometimes, like, how did you end up in that room, right? It could be something like behind the scenes at Create and Cultivate with all of these celebrities. Like,
Hmm.
how did you get there? And it's like,
Yeah.
I got here networking with somebody 3 years ago is
Yes.
how I got into this room.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I remember years ago, I had someone I was speaking to who was a chef and a caterer, and she was doing everything on her own. So, and she has said to me, you know, I've had bad experiences with having people working with me or working with other people. And she's like, do you recommend you working with other people? And I was like, why would you not? I don't want to do it all by myself. And she was
Hmm.
like, really? I was like, why would I want to do it all by myself? I'm like, I'm not in that stage where if I find out another idea that I need to do it, I'd rather just partner with someone and have it like either white labeled or pass it on to someone because I don't want to bother with it, compared to being the jack of all trades, compared to learning my skill and my craft, or just connecting with someone. And I feel that what happens is that when someone is in that space of like I need to do it all, it's just that's where they are in their leadership and their entrepreneurship. So there's no shade, no shame, and if that's where you are, eventually you get to a point where you're just like I can't and I don't want to, and I need to now partner with someone else. So I wanted to know, what is your advice for entrepreneurs who feel like they have to do everything alone?
Girl, I I know, like, when I started, I knew absolutely nothing.
Mm,
And I started like seeing these beautiful, beautiful events on Instagram and on Pinterest. And bless my soul that I thought that it was one person that did this whole production. I was like,
mm,
these are the events that I want to do. And I sat there and made cake pop, and I can't even believe that I'm sharing this right now. It's so embarrassing. I did the Rice Krispie cakes, the cake pops. I did the goodie bags. I did the balloons. I did all of the sourcing
yeah.
for the rentals. I did absolutely everything. And at the end of the day, the event was it was beautiful,
Mm,
but it wasn't the kind of beautiful that I, in my head, knew that I wanted to produce. And the
mm,
reason to that now I know is because it's not just one person doing that.
yeah.
It's a team of anywhere between 5 to 20, if not more, vendors putting all of this together, and everybody has a part to play. Um, what was the question again?
For anyone that's stuck in wanting to do everything themselves, what advice would you give for them to get out of that?
I would have them ask themselves why. When I did it all by myself, it's because I didn't know. I didn't
Mm,
know that I needed to work with somebody else to be able to produce the events that I wanted to produce. I didn't know how that worked. For a long time, I didn't even understand the difference between an event planner and an event decorator, which I
mm,
feel like is a whole, you can have a whole podcast just in what is an event planner and what is an event decorator.
yep,
And I didn't know that I could get paid just to do the planning and just to source all of these vendors because it's such a big undertaking to
yep,
produce something like that. And the planner, it literally just sources all of these creatives, which are the vendors, right?
yep,
So it's either that, like, you don't know, or you've had a bad experience with working with somebody and you're just like, didn't work out, they shot me in the foot, or like they did not work at the level, that I like to work at, and I feel like I could have done better. There's somebody else out there that's going to do that thing that you kind of like doing, or that you think they're going to do it better than you because it's all they're doing. Like, these
yeah,
businesses are niching down to, like, they only do signage, they only do invitations, they only do chocolate covered strawberries, they only do balloons, they only do rentals, and they are going to do it better than you are because it's
yeah,
everything that they're doing. So if you had a bad experience with one vendor, then you need to find another vendor, and you need to just like keep looking for your community, for your tribe. So that's another thing. And if, or just like, I just enjoy doing everything by myself, and that's totally fine, as long as you know that there's no scalability whenever it is that you're doing
mhm,
everything completely by yourself. You can
yeah,
have all of the clients that you want and always be booked and busy, and that's like amazing if you don't want to like grow from there. But to be able to grow, you need to have a team and you need to have like network to be able to get all of your people together.
Yes, I love that you said that. And it's so important. And I had this statistic that says that despite the benefits, like 70% of business partnerships can fail, but isn't really knowing the importance of selecting the right partners and managing those relationships effectively. And what I find happens is that as we are looking and growing in who we want to partner with, we're learning to be able to see those red flags a little bit more sooner than later. And that's part of the growth process. Just like how we have to figure out what are the best clients for us, we also have to be able to figure out what are the best partners. And you will be able to, like, for me, if there's certain things inside of my event business, like if I'm reaching out to new people to be a partner, like if they're not responsive or the response, like you just can tell. And I will see a red flag and I will just go another direction. And I
Hmm.
think that that's so important for especially planners is because sometimes we may want to force relationships or force partnerships, and you can clearly tell that this person may not be a reliable partner. And you have to be okay with like finding someone else. I don't feel that the industry is overly saturated. I feel like that's something that's often used. And I'm sure that you have a perspective on this as well. But I often say that in our industry, there's a lot of people, but everyone's not professional, and everyone's
Hmm.
not going to be at a certain level. So there, I know that if I reach out to 10 people that might do mobile bar services, I'm probably not going to get a reply back from 75% of them. And
It's crazy. It's crazy, those numbers. Yeah. But they're
yeah,
so real.
if you need to find a person and if you're looking for a new vendor, I think planners that have been in the industry long enough, we know that it's not just reaching out to one person unless we already
Yeah.
have a relationship. If we're looking for a new vendor, a new partner to be able to fill in a gap, we know that we have to reach out to multiple to be able to get a response. So, like, that's part of the learning process with having partners. And I think also too when we talk about the nurturing those relationships, so when we say that we're going in knowing that some of these collaborations may take a couple of months, it may take a couple of years, you just never know. That's why we're always doing this actively inside of our business, but we have to nurture these relationships. So what I have for you is I want to know, how can event planners create win-win partnerships that are able to have sustainable long-term growth together?
That is a good question. I think there's so many ways of doing that. I think that with AWP, especially like a lot of the vendors that are there, I noticed that they like this is from a vendor's perspective, like to have a good relationship with them. They like vendors to me have like given me gifts, not saying that like giving me a gift is going to make me like make our relationship better, but
Mhm.
just having that like extra like thank you, and just like more than that, I guess getting down to it is becoming actual friends with your
Yeah,
vendors, um like for uh, um, creating events where it's just for each other.
yeah,
Last month, we did a Galentine's, and it was with my now best friends, but they're also my vendor team, right?
yeah,
So connecting with them outside of work, I think is huge, and kind of like realizing like, hey, they're people too. They have kids
yeah,
too. They have families too, and kind of just like humanizing who we all are instead of it just being like, oh, that's my balloon girl, or like, oh, that's
yeah,
my like cake person.
yeah,
That for me would be the biggest one, is humanizing your vendor team. um Doing like in corporate they do team building sessions,
yeah,
like putting together an event where it's just for you guys and everybody brings in their own thing, and like making it into a styled shoot so that you guys
yeah,
can get some pictures out of it and like get cute and like actually be able to enjoy the fact that you're in the events industry and you're able to do things like this because you have an amazing community that are also your friends.
I love that. Super great tips. I have truly enjoyed this conversation. So I would love for you to share how can my listeners connect with you and learn more about your work and your upcoming classes and workshops.
Yes, so this has been great. Thank you so much for having me. My event planning company is Sugar Plum Event Co. My content creation company is BTS with Nancy. And if you want to follow along on my personal page, it's Nancy from Houston. I'm hosting a balloon workshop sometime in the summer. I'm thinking probably July or August. So if you're interested in learning balloons or how to break into the event industry, be sure to send me a DM or send me an email, and we can connect. And I would love to be part of your journey.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much, Nancy. This has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you, Jesse.